rose of light. Thou art the fairest of them all. In the beauty of the sense of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth, can be drawn the full meaning of them all. For the radiance of the one is the radiance of the many, but the many and the one are one. The unity of cosmos is communicated in the chalice of identity to each and every unique manifestation of the Father, and the contribution of every facet of the crystal makes up the total beauty of its form and spirit. For out of the radiance, out of the depth of the radiance of the mind of God, has come forth into form all of the exquisite patterns which manifest in the floral kingdom, but were first spiritual patterns framed of light radiance, subtly glowing in the recesses and folds of the mind of God. A gentle foreboding of awe, of majesty, of greatness. The tiny finite rose becomes a radiant spiritual example of the beauty of the mind of God, filling a firmament, a cosmos, the very being of God, and breathing into space the fragrance it is capable of producing. The radiance of the soul, the reality of the soul, the grace that makes men whole. It is all there. A potential of the jewel in the heart of the lotus. A potential of the jewel of life, upon whose gentle balance the cosmos moves, and burning worlds are formed within, without. Peopled and colonized by the natives of the sun in a state of becoming, and those appointed ministers of fire that are the angelic host, wedded to his holy will by a kiss of peace from the very soul of God. These then are bound to complement his power by a vow so sacred that cannot be uttered by mortal tongues, but only by the tongues of angels, dedicated to the bringing forth of his radiant will in manifestation. Out of the stillness, then, of the great light reaches out the concentric rings of fire purpose, wheels within wheels, expanding undulations of crystalline power, charged with the virtue of his magnificent thought of blessings, abundant life flowing from center to periphery, reaching then those islands of darkness, of mortal thought and feeling, of faithlessness and deceit. They come as transmuting tidal waves to seal all creation in the abundant virtue of the mind of God. But the soul that knows and understands is able to attune with this delicate imagery, is able to see that its delicacy does not make it really fragile, for it is strong, like a growing plant whose vines can break the strongest rock. The outward movement from center to periphery is always an ongoing of exquisite loveliness. The rippling power of the presence of God that is to be found in the center folds of the bud of a rose is also to be found at the outer edge, where the more durable substance, gently cupped, also exhibits the qualities of the center. And so life is one, a progressive ongoing, that when cultivated by the understanding of the spiritual spark of life, the eternal magnetism within the being of man, can become a pool of fragrant, refreshing, vitalized substance that will enable men to see that even the will of the outer form, in all of its crude manifestations, will yield to the pressures of the light that from within seeks to mold and shape not only the form, but also the spirit, the soul, the breath, the intelligence, the wisdom concepts that unite life into a comprehensive reality communicated in the most sacred communion to each individual, as the high priest of the eternal presence through the living Christ of each one offers then the bread and wine, the manna and the spirit, the body of corporeal substance and the incorporeal substance that is the power of God to overcome all of man's acts of ignorance and of shadow, and produce the miracle that will raise the curtain upon the eternal drama as it unfolds, and reveal to each heart the mission and pathway of experience that stands ahead of him, to which he must then aspire in fulfillment, to understand that as the curtain is raised upon one little sequence, one drama, it will yield as a door of eternity to the pressures of he who seeks to enter into reality. And one by one all doors will open until at last man is able to ascend to the great living reality which he is, and being a part of that, to understand that he suffers no loss but receives all gain, that he is then the manifestation of all that God is, for it has been the will of the Father to convey it all to him, birthright immortal, deathless, sweet spirit of eternity, inhabiting all things, yet unknown or unrecognized by many. The God of eternity comes in to sup with man, embodied man, moving forward step by step toward his God-appointed goal. Hear then the gentleness of our love expressions to you, as we of the great white brotherhood seek ever to draw you higher into a more permanent sense of your great native reality, your primary purpose. We come then with glowing light. We come then with the fire of hope, fanning that hope into life in each of you, in your four lower vehicles as well as in the higher vehicles of expression. We seek to balance upon the square of perfect manifestation in form the great triad of spiritual glory. Thus, each one upon earth will come to understand the magnificence that lies within, will come to contact the magnificence that is within, will come to perceive, to touch, to handle, and to be, in the final analysis, all that God as seed has planted in the soul, an outbreathing manifestation of the cosmos eternal, as above, so below. Move then, beloved pilgrims, onward. Be not dismayed by outer circumstances or the turmoils of the world. Yours is the pathway over which all must go. And if you go before mortal men, if you, as pilgrims of light, enter the door first, it will only be to create a greater bond of surety for the hearts and beings of all who will follow the way we have walked, the way he has taught, the way of the immortal Spirit. I thank you. Out of the depths of reality I am come. From India, the heart, head, and hand of love salutes you, for India is the head
and America the heart of the radiant plan for the world and the unfoldment of love in the world. The people of the West are often unaware of the enormous blessings that they share each day in the miracle of life. They do not understand the struggles unless they journey far to those lands where many of the conveniences which you take so lightly and so for granted are denied the people. We then today want to reveal to you clearly the mighty power that is within you, that you may understand that inner tranquility, inner peace is a gift that money cannot buy. That you should understand that the peace within your souls that reveals the radiant face of God is that which people of all lands should seek. For they are all hungry, and they all need to be full of the power of their own real self. For this is the commodity for which man starves. It is the commodity of self for which he hungers. The pseudo-self, the mask, the persona, the personality, this seems so real to man, but in reality it is only maya, illusion, and shadow. It does not even portray that which is to come. It does not reveal the fires of reality to man. It does not strip the mask from the universe that shows the power of the Spirit. Therefore, I come today as one anointed by Him, representing the Indian Council, representing the spirit of the Great White Brotherhood, to release into this city, torn in the past by strife and struggle, the spirit of holy communion and peace with the infinite, with the light, with the truth that God is. This truth is the sustaining and motivating power of your lives. It is not necessary for you to understand this, although it would help and benefit you if you did. This motivating, this guiding, this strengthening power of your life can be contacted by you, can be entered into. You can even form a contract with God, and this is permissible. You can enter into an agreement with Him, which some of you have called a vow. And in this vow of reality, the reaffirmation of your faith, you will find the strengthening of the bonds of life. For a contract made with God is a contract of service that can be fulfilled through the process of karma yoga, through the process of service in your daily lives. It will produce the miracle of cosmic love as a gushing fountain that will not cease to flow. One of the problems of the world today, then, is the fact that men too frequently feel a sense of frustration, a cutting off of the vital power of life, a dropping of cosmic potential, a lowering of aspirations, and the stultification that seems to be that which precedes even physical death. There is no need at any age, then, for mankind to have fear in his heart, for the love of the infinite flows across the margin of the world. The love of the infinite is not actually found in external things. It is found in the inner reality of man. It is found in the sun-drenched earth that is within the mind, where all things that the eyes perceive take on the glow of reality as they are translated into the inner light, where truth is manifest. Will you enter then tonight with me into the understanding of what it means to be a part of God's beautiful world, to be a part of the councils of the Brotherhood, to be a part of the manifestation of service as above, so below? Those who serve in this world to produce the miracle of illumination are not all visible. They are not all physically manifest. Many of them are in the invisible realm. They are those who help those who are suffering with physical tortures created by their own karmic patterns of the past. There are those who help those who are passing through the change called death. There are those who assist the unfoldment of cosmic illumination, of truth, of light in the being of man, that assist the mind to grasp the principles of life and to understand. For understanding, after all, is an inner thing. It is a gift of reality that communicates to the soul that which is real. So many things, precious ones, children of the light, seems to be real, but is not. And we would speak then to you tonight of that which is real, that which you can touch with the fingers of the mind, of the consciousness, that which you can feel, which you can examine, which you can enter into and be a part of. And thus is the world made real within yourself. And this vision is not limited to the world. It can pass to other worlds, to other states of reality, interpenetrating this one. It can give you a field of reality, a sense of omnipresence, and entering in to the consciousness of the living Christ. And by this entering in, you will be refreshed and revivified as though you had found the fountain source of all light right within yourself. The peace of the East flows to the West. The brothers of light from the East flow to the West. As lightning cometh forth from the East and goeth unto the West, even so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. The radiance of the light is eternal. The radiance of the light shatters the matrices of dense desire. The radiance of the light produces the miracle that frees man from the sense of frustration and bondage. The radiance of the light produces peace in the heart. The radiance of the light is in all, but sleeps in many. The radiance of the light must be awakened in all, and then all shall breathe the air of true freedom. We who represent the Council of India are aware of the multitudinous struggles of mankind to grasp the tendrils of reality, to grasp the feet of the eternal presence that seems so concealed at times from view. The objectivity of the world is often inverted. It turns outward when it ought to turn within. It turns to the things of the senses when it ought to turn to the things of the spirit. While it is a part of a giant quest which every man knowingly or unknowingly enters into, frequently it seems lost in the maze of passing events and the sense of struggle in which men engage. we understand the meaning of the machinery of heaven. We understand the meaning of the placing of the unguents of healing upon the body of mankind. We understand the need of pouring the sweet oil of anointing upon the machinery of life and letting peace and harmony in the world produce the miracle that will ease the age-old struggle for existence for the people of the whole world, that will feed in the name of the living Christ the children who are hungry, not only with the physical bread, but with the bread of angels, the bread that comes down from on high. For with all of man's getting, he seldom grasps real understanding. He considers that in form their spirit is. He does not understand that spirit exists independent of form and has produced form. But man must learn to peer behind form and to see the reality of God, which pours forth into the mind of the illumined devotee. The devotee of the Spirit, the seeker for reality, will be fed. He will not remain hungered. The consolation of the ages comes forth in the great universal brotherhood of light. It comes forth to awaken, to quicken mortality into immortality, to produce the vision of cosmic fusion, of the union of hearts of men all over the world with the beating heart of God, that they may feel the pulsations of His love, that they may understand that all lands and all peoples are a part of one vast quest for the nature of God, for the nature of truth, for the nature of purity. And as we come tonight then to bring a spirit of cosmic union into this city and throughout the land of America, we pray that it may permeate the world, that the Brotherhood service to life may become one of breathing reality, that the unfoldment of God truth may not only quicken hearts, but pour out the light of cosmic knowledge until the world can ultimately destroy the arts of war by conversion to the purity of the eternal peace proclaimed long ago by the Prince of Peace, who said also, I come not only to send peace, but also a sword. For men must understand that there are necessary activities that will take place, whereby the sword of the living Word will reveal to mankind that he must practice the art of discrimination, that he must learn to control his emotions and his being, that he must learn the arts of cosmic grace. The engines of destruction which the world today are so concerned with would not be necessary if the fires of the Spirit could be honestly kindled in all hearts. But there are many today who, by reason of their environment and education throughout the world, are filled with the idea that the world is a deceitful place. And each time that they find a deceitful person, they say, see, I told you so. They do not understand that both in the visible and invisible world there are men who are, as you would call it, true blue, men and women of the Spirit who are not of this world, although they are in it. They are of the world, of the eternal Father and His many mansions, of the peace that keepeth the hearts of men. And therefore, as we speak to you tonight, it is to bring into consciousness a focused, central sense of the reality of the divine intent to convey to the world only the bliss of God, only the peace of God, only the rightening power of God, to straighten the world out from all of its crookedness, that the world may understand the need to seek the pathway to peace and to pursue it, to learn the employment of the gifts of the Spirit and the higher education that will ultimately open up the great fountains of the deep in the heart of man, that will enable him to find then on this great river called the river of life, the crystal clear river, the flowing stream, the understanding that he is borne upon its crest toward the very throne of eternal truth. For truth is eternal, even as life is eternal. And life breathes in man, and life conveys to man the essence of the cosmic intent. While I'm speaking to you, myriad angels have made their appearance in the atmosphere around you, and they are conveying the blessing not only of our land, but of our counsel to the land of America and the people of America. For great saints here in America are coming to an awakening sense, and wave like the power of God's grace will quicken here in this land that loves freedom, the power that also can spread abroad in the world the technique and teachings of the ascended Master's counsels. For God is still the ruler of all reality. Depend on Him and you will live. Depend on Him and you will give. Depend on Him and you will see. Depend on Him and you will be. The fires of truth will make you free. I salute the God flame within your heart and convey to you the blessings of the eternal brotherhood, now and always. Peace be with you. Thank you, beloved Chananda. Will you please rise? The Master Chananda is the master of the Indian Council. He represents the Indian Council, and I think it highly fitting that he should grace us with his presence here in Detroit at this time when we are able to share East and West, brothers that serve the common cause, upon this platform which is dedicated tonight to the spirit of universal love. The sign of the heart and the head and the hand to you. May the peace of your presence abide with you wherever you are, wherever you go. May the glorious peace of your presence flow through days of turmoil and nights of rest. May the peace of your presence keep you blessed. The sign of the heart, the head and the hand to you. The eternal brotherhood of light seals you upon the cosmic cross of white fire, where you may meet every master, angel, and servant of God in the great cross bar of light, the horizontal bar of man, and the vertical bar of the descending grace of God. May He remain with you always. Peace be unto you.
Gracious ladies and gentlemen, may the peace of this hour bear to your souls the fruit of redemption, of compassion, of reality. And may the fire of that reality be apparent in your mind, in your feeling world, and throughout this entire area. For we have as desire in our being the fruit of cosmic intention. And we flash forth that fruit into manifestation as hope unto the world in this age. For the age is very dark, and there are some who say it is quite sick. But we would come then today, having in mind the healing of the age. We cannot then look at the manifestation of shadow or of shame, but only at the manifestation of hope and virtue. You have a saying in your world that you should look upon the donut, not upon the hole. Yet humanity today is prone to look upon the negative aspects of almost everything, until it suits their purpose momentarily to decide that they will gild the lily, the fashion of the times, and exalt a synthetic situation. We have no such desire, nor the desire to create illusion, but to free from illusion, to create in the consciousness the understanding of the infinite law of reality, the law of man's being. We have then drawn forth in this activity a new concept from time to time based upon the law of eternal truth, which from the beginning has framed the world and all that is in it. But the hope that is in men's hearts is very definitely difficult to define, even for embodied individuals. From our octave of light, if we were to gaze upon you with the fullness of our consciousness, we too might even find difficulty in defining the hope that is in you, because that hope is embryonic, because that hope has not yet been externalized, because it is fraught with difficulty, because it manifests through a sea of difficulties. Yet, we believe that eventual triumph will come to each individual, that the monadic expression of deity will begin to absolve itself of the darkness of its world and to comprehend the radiance of the light that is being poured out from the very center of the universe, from the center of the heart, through the consciousness into manifestation for each individual. The individual is a precious alabaster box of ointment. The individual is a cherished treasure in the eyes of God. For the individual was created by God, the undivided whole, as a part of the eternal reality. The rose of the soul descending then to bloom in the land of Terra still retains the memory, fragrance of the heavenly realms, still retains the thoughts of God by which he framed the spiritual world with all of its nobility and grandeur, still retains the fashion of infinite freedom, blossoming in the finite world, yet carrying now to the consciousness of the receptive, of the believers, of the children of faith, a eternally new manifestation of the ever precious reality of the old law that from the beginning was taught unto mankind. For the soul in all of its beauty, the soul in all of its childlike wonder has always responded to the ministrations of the love and light of the eternal presence, which was beamed forth from the beginning into the consciousness until the consciousness felt as though it were buoyed up by that light in the tenderness of the reality of God for the individual. The individual continued in his search for the immaculate reality of himself. And in the thought of the immaculate reality of the self, the promise of freedom from fear and doubt and shadow is ever apparent. And the individual continues to uphold the wondrous strands of self-renewing hope, a hope that will not die or wither, a hope that will flourish in the fullness of promise, when that promise will bring to the very feet of each individual, embodied and tutored by the Holy Spirit, the radiant release of that one's own glorious outpicturing of the very soul of God. I am come then to say to you that all of the forces of the world that have arrayed themselves upon the hillside Armageddon, that have sought to extinguish hope in man's heart and to create divisionary experiences in the world of form, ought to have no power to thwart our intent toward the entire race of humanity, which is to exalt out of the nobleness of the soul the reality of God in the experience world of each individual, so that the individual can indeed bask in the sunlight of eternal purpose and be free at last from all of the darkness and dregs of the cup, which mankind seems sometimes fatalistically to feel that they must drink of. We are not concerned then that the individual should always partake of negation, even when it may, as some would phrase it, be a well-deserved return of karmic energy. We are concerned with the emancipation of the soul. We are concerned with freedom in the being of man. And from time to time, out of the great fountain of the mercy of God, those whose karmic records hold merit, as we would say, for a doleful dose of negativity and negative expression, are given the boon of cosmic mercy because they have at least momentarily embraced the thought that they should and ought to escape from the terrors of the world's destruction and the witlessness of human expression as it seeks outwardly to justify its existence, yet denies the beauty of the inner intent that would fashion in the very soul of man the light that God placed there in the beginning. That light has never, and I repeat it, that light has never failed. That light will never fail. Even when man himself turns his back upon the sun continues to cast its light forth. And then, because the back is turned, the shadow looms large and long before the vision of the one who ought to be facing the sun. As I come to you then tonight, it is to renew in you this hope which God himself holds most dear, that the freedom he so longs for each one to cherish will become a tangible manifestation within the fabric of the mind, interwoven by the strands of love released through the holy philosophy of the Holy Spirit. Love, wisdom, and power interwoven with the thought of the individual being of man, so that man is inextricably interwoven with the thought of God, and there are no thoughts there that are actually other than the bright threads of golden cosmic intent that will produce the golden mean of the golden age, the beautiful tetragrammaton of cosmic manifestation in all of its glowing beauty and splendor. We who understand the fire of light and the fire of cosmic intent, we who hold the graciousness of the flame in the chalice of being, would hold before your vision then tonight those cosmic glyphs of immortal intent that are the bread of angels, the pan anis angelicus, of the sweetness of the will of God. For as I come to you tonight, it is to tell you that at this moment, outside of this property, a materialization of Master El Morya is walking upon the very soil in order to establish here a focus of the will of God, not only for Santa Barbara, but for all of California, for all of America, and for all of the free world, extending then beams of hope into Czechoslovakia and the countries behind the Iron Curtain, and saying, we will repudiate in God's name the activity of Rasputin, the mad monk, and all the hordes of the Red Dragon that have masqueraded in the name of Christ and sought to produce a facade before mankind that has actually been a chain of bondage to hold all of Christendom in the doleful bondage and ignorance of men who are wedded to black magic in the spirit of it, in all of its horror and malefic manifestation, whereas the living and risen Christ that appeared long ago and stood outside the tomb to Mary and said, Mary, and she replied, Rabboni, which is to say, Master, will once again sup and commune with thee. For as I am speaking to you tonight, the love radiance of living Christ that actually causes the heart to burn within mankind, to sense the power of communion with the infinite power of the eternal God, lives yet and still these 2,000 years hence, to recreate in the consciousness of the modern disciple of the living God those powers and visions of the supreme reality of the cosmic intent that reveal throughout the 2,000-year cycle the banner of freedom over the earth. And therefore, in the name of the Spirit of the Great White Brotherhood, I am accepting here and now this place and calling it a place made holy by our appearance here this night, to build and to fabricate here by the service of our united hearts an activity that will magnetize the flame of the living God throughout the world and draw them before the vision and gaze of every keeper of the flame the beauteous pattern of the cosmic eternal magnet, the magnet of light that will draw the world tonight to the universal power of their divine presence. The exaltation of this presence will see to it, as men embrace it, that the power of freedom within the soul comes into preeminence, that the power of its preeminence takes dominion over outer manifestation. That outer manifestation then is able more willingly to shed the dross that is born of ignorance and to draw forth the golden rule out of the crucible of experience that will cause, where it is needed, chastisement of the soul to a more glowing reality and vision that is not a figment of the imagination, but a glowing spiritual reality and figure, a configuration of immortal truth, a breathing image of God that takes each individual soul back through the veil to behold in pure witness the truth of being that God saw. And behold, the Lord God saw the image which he had created, made in his own image, and behold, it was very good. Out of that experience, I say, out of that being, I am that I am, will each individual fashion for himself, not only now, but throughout eternity, the realities that will become more real to him with the passing of each moment in the stream of time as it merges in the confluence of eternity into those immortal vestments which will become the seamless robe of every man. And at that moment, that man who is able to hold that vision will see only God, and every eye shall see him. And they who pierced him out of the delusions of the senses will also behold him. And those who have doubted his existence will behold him. And behold, it will come to pass that there shall be one fold and one shepherd, and the peace of God will break down the middle way of partition that has separated the individual from God. And the shining dewdrop will become the sea. And then, as the great trumpeting of cosmic purity over the waves is heard, as the great sound of Gabriel trumpeting the purity of God is seen as well as heard, as the resounding in the soul awakens and calls the dead to the state of quickedness, so will be born of God. And I say unto you, ye are gods. You belong to him, and you are him in manifestation. In this spirit of universal wonder, I think we will put the quietus on the deceits of the human mind and those things of the imagination that have created such a stage as all the world is, where each man plays his many parts, the delusory parts, the adventuresome parts, the brave parts, the coward's parts, even the vile, sinful parts. And we will see that all who have made so many false starts will turn then toward God and see that love's labor ought not to be lost, that all is well that ends well, that there is hope in the shining radiance of tomorrow. And as I come to you tonight, it is to say to you who will build the temple here, who will have a hand in the making of the holy pie, that behold, 5 pi 3.14. We will create the geometric configuration of universal reality. We will square the circle. We will produce the mystical triangle. We will try to produce perfection. And if we fail in you individually, we will hope that you will not fail to recreate over each blunder a foundation of the living God, a cubic stone that is square and white, that holds the glowing purity of cosmic hope before its gaze, even when those who would throw mud balls and mud pies seek to cover it over with human muck. We are interested then in producing the miracle of God perfection out of every failure, of producing a magnificent facet of beauty in every corner where you are. And as you serve here to build this temple, to ennoble it by your thoughts and actions, see that they are not sullied by the dark images of criticism, of judgment, of condemnation. For he who condemns another condemns himself. And as I consider what the hopes that will be externalized here will mean to the mother of the world and to the cult of the mother of the world, I am persuaded that the divine man-child, as he is brought forth in each of you, will be an ark of the covenant, an ark of flaming reality that for some individual in the world will spell an end to shadow and pain. It will extend to them a sense of truth and purity and virtue. And in this hope, as I take my leave of you tonight, I draw upon the sustaining power of your life to hold you in the focus of my love for freedom, that you will let nothing bar you from that temple gate. For there I stand and there I wait. That you will let nothing bar you from spiritual fate, which is always produced by cosmic faith and cosmic effort. Brave new world, stand before the gaze of these thy children, and let them be touchstones in the miracle of the coming golden age to produce the miracle of the coming race. I thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard from the Knight Commander Saint Germain, and you have been informed of what I did not know, that throughout this dictation, Master Morya was actually physically manifest, walking outside this property. And I consider that the appearance of these two masters, who are the founders of this work, on this auspicious occasion, to be a blessing of unparalleled magnitude to our life stream. And I want to give to each of you the spiritual kiss of peace from my heart for your presence here in this meeting dedicated to the unfoldment of the Christ in humanity in these latter times when the Red Dragon is seeking so much the destruction of our country, of our youth, of all values that have been held dear throughout the ages by holy men of God who have seen this world as a school where they can be educated and fitted for the eternity that looms ahead of us all. For the flesh is only a veil, and one day we will shed it, or transmute it, which is better yet. I want to thank you, each one, for your attention to the Master's words and for the magnet that must be within you that has drawn you to this gathering tonight. May God love you all. The sign of the heart, the head and the hand to you. May the peace of your presence abide with you wherever you are, wherever you go. May the glorious peace from your presence flow. Through days of service and nights of rest, may the peace of your presence keep you blessed. The sign of the heart, the head and the hand to you. May the spirit of the eternal brotherhood seal you in the great cosmic cross of white fire. It is the radiant manifestation of our Lord Christ and of the eternal Buddha in his infinite reality, unfolding the peace of God upon the planetary body and in your hearts. And may you, as you are separated one from the other in physical form, remain eternally constant in the spirit of truth. Pax vobiscum, peace be with you, now and always. Amen. God bless you.
when your soul does feel as though it would fly across the margin of the world to escape from the multitude of problems that seem to confront you, when your soul seems surfeited with all knowing, with all sense of struggle, with confusion, and even with doubt, understand that the noontide is not the even, that the midnight hour is not the dawn. Understand that the soul passes through various cycles of life, that these cycles have a special gift of learning to impart, that your reactions are somewhat determined as to the efficacy of the lessons learned, and also are determined as to whether or not you must take the grade over again. Frequently, various spiritual disciples passing along the pathway seem to object to the buffetings of karma, the return and recoil of their own energy which they have sent out. And in other cases, they object to the buffetings of the dark ones as they seek to dissuade the children of the light from moving in the holy caravan of purpose. We advise calmness of mind and a sense of divine knowingness. If you know not the way in an intellectual measure, at least know that the way abides within you, that the way dwells within, and it is in the abiding sense of the presence of God that you are able to resist the wiles of the dark ones, who would interfere with the path of the pilgrim upon the path. For the path, in reality, is synonymous with progress. You do not think of the path as one moving in reverse, but as one straightway beholding a glimpse of the future. Our message today is of sweet simplicity to the soul, is to impart the banner of our allegiance in God unto those who now, late in time, follow Him. Remember that others shall come after you, and how well you shall do your services, how well you shall uphold the banner of God in this age, shall determine also to some degree their faith in the infinite. Some may disagree with me in this statement, but others will clearly understand what I mean. For you are examples, you are supposed to be examples of that which is handed down to you from the Eternal Father to the Son, to the brethren, to the children of the light that temporarily inhabit this planetary home as they move toward the realm of the eternal. We come then to remind you of the upholding of the Lord's banner, to remind you of the need to shed the sense of struggle, to feel yourselves involved in a coil of uncontrollable energy. In reality, you are a sweet, simple, and beautiful manifestation of the Christ consciousness. The coil of restless energy that surrounds the tide of man's knowing is involved then in the various karmic measures where he has spent his energy foolishly or carelessly. I do not say these also cannot be redeemed, for they must be redeemed. You ought not to redeem them in one moment, for in some cases and for some individuals they are weighty. For others they are less heavy and dense, but for all they are misqualified substance. And as such they must be requalified, transmuted, and repurposed, reshapen into cosmic usefulness. Let not your hearts then be troubled, neither be afraid. Let not the fears of the future disturb the present hour, where that future is forged. Bear well in mind that a sense of the compassion of Christ is paramount in rekindling the fires of the mind, in re-establishing awareness of God in the heart. For all the conspiracy that exists now in the world of form exists to take men away from primal purpose and primal sanity. All the conspiracy that exists in form consciousness exists to destroy the primal virtues of nature, the primal values of the soul. All that exists in the masquerading etheric, lower etheric levels that seeks to enmesh the consciousness of man in spiritism, in prognostication, is a part of the charades of Satan. It is a part of the deceit being practiced upon mankind in the name of the living God. There are no strange practices that are necessary, beloved ones, in order to establish the childlike connection between yourselves and your eternal divine presence. Your presence, in its basic simplicity, is the key to all reality everywhere. Is this then really so basically simple? Surely it is not, for it includes the spirals of the inward progress of the heart. It includes the inward development of the temple beautiful, of the beautiful consciousness. It includes attunement with the reality of the Father's consciousness and the Father's Word. You today, struggling midst myriad human affairs, are again and again targets of the arrows of hostility and darkness. Often you know it not. You are not able to clearly perceive at a given moment all that is thundering against you. The roaring lion of deceit that seeks today to martyr the true Christ-oriented individual. Now, as brethren of the light, we come. As brethren of eternal purpose, we extend the rays of hope from our heart into your field of consciousness. Like the crowning aurora of the sun, the glow of our consciousness rests upon your own as a mantle of eternal peace. We seek to wrap you as in swaddling garments of light, to shield you from the crassness, the density, the opacity, the cruelty of the night and of the consciousness of the night, of nihilism, of doubt, of death, of despair. We would replace it all by the infinite sense of the Father's care. He cares for a blade of grass that fades away. He reestablishes from the root or the seed the same image again and again. Yet men tread upon it, and children walk upon it, and the aged crush it underfoot. Yet he raises it in field and forest, and it becomes a forest for the ants. Understand then, precious ones, that born out of a sense of relativity will come forth in your consciousness an awareness of the need to be great in God. You cannot be great in yourselves if you cannot be great in God. And you cannot be great in God if you cannot be great in yourselves. For there is an inextricable relationship here, an unseparated relationship between the self and the universal one. You should then open up the top of the heart, that it may resemble a chalice, that it may become a repository of all good, that it may continue to hope that it shall be fashioned in the Lord's image. For whereas it has been said of old, the heart is desperately wicked, it has also been said of old, thou art a man after God's own heart. And therefore the manifestation of God's own heart lives. And the wickedness of the hearts of men falls and is no more. For reality endures and shadows fly. The darkness is put out by the sun, and truth draws nigh. Let men then cleanse themselves through a conscious washing of the water by the living Word. Let them eat the bread of God and hold in hand the two-edged sword. It is the Word that divides asunder the bitter from the sweet, that reveals the passions of the soul, to meet with God at His own level, to understand that neath the sky and sun and wind, the soul is caressed by gentleness and care, to understand the cleanness of the law that lives within. It is right there where God is, where you are, where the burden of reality is born and lives forever. These things cannot die. They shall never perish. Although lesser images fade away and are no more, those who anchor to these realities cannot perish from the earth or from the universe or from our consciousness, or from his. For in the flame of his love is eternal life, and in the flame of his love is the fire of immortality. And in the flame of his love is your service, as you seek to do unto one another the kindness which he has ever extended from the beginning unto you. And in one very rare and real sense, you are himself in action. And in one very rare and real sense, he is thyself in action. Yet there is a gulf fixed between man in the state of becoming and man in the fullness of manifestation. For that which shall be and that which is are not one, but that which shall be is that from which you must make the oneness of your being. Each day you must gather of this substance until enough for the journey ahead lies as a gift within your hand. And then you will need neither script nor purse, nor even person. For you will have become truly one with all good. And this is the goal of life. Not really a goal of frustration, but a goal of gestation. For there is born within you, out of the gesture of his givingness, that spirit, that animated spirit of true livingness, which is the very essence of immortality. Hold our hand as we hold your hand. Hold it in the dark and hold it in the light. For we are the light that shines in the dark, even as we are the light that shines in the light. Yet we prefer to see you walk in the light. But when you stray into the dark, understand that the light is ever at hand. From the soul of our soul, we salute you in the calm knowing of the certainty of the goal. Be not afraid. God is at hand. wear the garment. Let the soul be decked with the purity of the flame and the light. From Darjeeling we bring the essence of our love. We bring the banner of truth. Valor is in our hand, and security to all who seek security. For the will of the Eternal is just, a fountain of holy magnificence. The Devas of the will of God salute you. Our hearts enfold you. We say, O traveler, continue onward. For the anointing of the Most High is an unguent which the soul craves. And the Father extends, and the beauty of reality knocks at the door, and the breath of reality is inbreathed by the hungry soul, and the strength of 10,000 arms is injected into the consciousness, and millions of hearts beat, sustained by one breath of his love. Yea, he sustaineth all things, and nothing is sustained without him. His mercy endureth forever, and the world, in its pallor of ignorance, continues to drink the dregs of the cup of wrath. Hence, I come to you to pre-warn you this night that the lords of karma have also tussled mightily over the fate of the present generation. And now comes forth the decree that signifies to mankind an unknown quantity, but we who have read the record warn it could well signify a minor cataclysm or a series of minor cataclysmic actions, both that which we may term social cataclysm and that which we may term a rebellion of nature, as the elements themselves seek to shrug off the imposition of injustice that men have continually fostered upon a nature uninvited. We stand then tonight not in fear for ourselves or our best servants, but mindful of the tremor that the world may well yet fear ere a fortnight pass, certainly ere the year shall fade from view, save mankind shall withhold the awful activities of denial and the trenchant activities of human filth and degradation, which they have allowed to corrode their soul as an encrusted image of deceit and baneful activity. We say then the world could well and should well tremble, for it is a seeking of the hand of God in karmic interaction to bring about a realization to a world maddened and reeling that life cannot always continue in a state of degradation or a fraudulent calm. Rather, I say, the lords of karma have arisen, and the cup of wrath is trembling in their hand, and the world should well fear. And I say to the chelas of the light, in this you must stay your hand. For certain activities that may come within a fortnight or this year, unless there be some activity to change it, cannot be interfered with by any, for they will come as a result of karmic decree. And they will come in the hope, vain though it may turn out to be, that some among mankind will awaken, that some among mankind will turn toward the light who have not before understood the meaning of truth, the meaning of the light. And therefore I, El Morya, born from the heart of love for the will of God, bring to you the understanding of the divine nature to purge the earth by the purifying power of the light that seeks to produce the fruit of the divine image in all, that yearns to wipe away the tears from the eyes of men, but that understands how that juggernaut will roll if mankind will do nothing to stop its onward rush. And in its roll it will crush many beneath its wheels of piercing reality. They have created it. They have sown it. They shall reap. We have long sought to stay these actions, and now the Karmic Board has said no longer. And only a valiant action on the part of mankind, or the interference of those who stand above the karmic lords, can withhold it. Only they can stop the action. And we say this to you that you may be forewarned, that you may understand that the dire disasters that may well occur in the world will be of mankind's own making, will be of mankind's own doing, a fruit of their senseless activity. When it comes, as come it must, ere they change not, I say to you, then when it comes, pray God that it also produce good fruit. For we are well aware that chastisement, as well as love, has quickened mankind's perception. We are aware that the fruit of divine firmness, as well as the fruit of divine simplicity, and a yielding to mankind of the banner of freedom for the individual, both produce their fruit after their kind. But the latter is the gift often of the former. For many times out of sternness comes a realization of the reality of God. And when this comes about, the individual is able to reap the fruit of universal sweet reason. And so tonight, to you whom we love, to those who have extended so much hope to the earth, we say to you, weep not for yourselves or for your children, but weep rather for the children of the earth who have sown in darkness and will reap in darkness. But we shall act to spread the light everywhere, to continue the waving of the banner of the Lord in the east wind that will dry up the evil oils that men have poured upon the earth, that they might set fire to the earth and burn it. We say, let us then stay the hand wherever we can, even of karma, but understand that all cannot be stayed. And this too is the mercy of God. This too is His grace. This too is for the interaction of lives, that the molding power of the Spirit may produce such fruit of wholeness and beauty in the golden age now forming amidst the ashes of confusion, that the world shall once again, hopefully, be restored to the former place, to the excellence of the divine image which we hold inviolate in the flame. I thank you.